This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you.
For the Record.
Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the Record.
For the Record. For the Record.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today is Wednesday, the 23rd day of October 2019. The year is almost gone. But before it goes, we're going to have several things occurring in the Cayman Islands, including the 19th day of December 2019. People's initiated referendum will take place as well. Until that comes along, what do we have? We're going to have Thanksgiving, and then I believe we celebrate our Cayman Thanksgiving here in the Cayman Islands as well. The end of the month, you're going to have Halloween as well. What else do we have? Remembrance Day coming up also. Pirates Week. All sorts of things happening. And Saturday night live in Georgetown as well. So many things happening. But the year, my point is, the year is almost gone. For those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands this morning, we again urge you, and I won't say busy roads of the Cayman Islands this morning, because at about 6:20 this morning, the traffic was flowing smoothly. Actually, I thought it was a Sunday morning or a holiday because of the small volume of traffic on the road at that time. I'm not sure how it is now, but we certainly know and we see the difference between a school day and a non-school day in terms of the volume of traffic that we see on the roads. But still, for those of you who are on the roads of the Cayman Islands, we do urge you to please be careful. Please ensure that you observe the rules of the road, be courteous, and remember that the life you save may be your own. That is, if you're a pedestrian, if you're a cyclist, or if you're operating any type of motorized vehicle on the roads of the Cayman Islands as well. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. As you know, For the Record is a show produced by the staff and management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orrett Connor, and you're welcome to join me every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 10 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone waiting to take your calls. 9.5 times out of 10, it is that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on a toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and 949-6990. If you don't like to talk on the telephone, email us at For The Record. That is one word, For The Record, at candw.ky. WhatsApp us on 925-3261, where we encourage you to send us a text message or leave us a voice note, the contents of which will be played during the course of the show. And, of course, you can follow us on YouTube simply by subscribing to Radio Cayman live stream. It's my pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Miss Teresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve McField. We have several topics that we want to talk about, and we want we invite you to be engaged in a conversation as well. So we will have our phone lines open for you to participate in a conversation. We will be talking a little bit about what has happened with Brexit in the last few days. We also want to talk about the whole idea of the introduction of a regiment in the Cayman Islands. We also want to talk about the referendum bill that is scheduled to be debated in the Legislative Assembly starting on the 28th of this month, 28th of October as well. So several topics to talk about. As far as the referendum bill is concerned, we want to scrutinize that bill. We want to address some of the concerns that have been raised by particular interest groups who are concerned with the port referendum. We want to discuss some of those issues that have been raised by them and give you our panelists' perspective and their take on the various issues as well. So without any further ado, I want to say good morning. Welcome to For The Record to Miss Teresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve McField. Good morning, folks.
Hi, good morning, OC. Good morning, Steve. Steve is more like a mentor, so I some of the times fail to call him Doc. I just go straight to Steve. But I'd also like to say thank you for having us this morning. Also share a blessed good morning to the rest of the Cayman community and those in the diaspora, no matter where you are, to have a really brilliant day. And I hope that the conversation that we have this morning will be useful and, people will have something positive to take away from it to discuss.
Okay. Good morning to you, Mr. For The Record, and good morning to my co-host, to my colleague, Ms. Pitcairn. It's good to be back. I always like when I get the call from you because it gives me a chance to get away from my routine and to do a little research before I come on the air so that I can better inform your listening public in the diaspora and those that are listening to you locally. For the record, it's good that you ask local people to come onto the radio station and to give their knowledge to your people. I think is one of the highlights of this station, and I'm always willing to come, even though I have to get up at 5 o'clock at 4 o'clock in the morning to leave around 5:30 to come down here. Thank you for asking me again.
Okay. Now, one of the topics that we want to discuss early, we'll talk a little bit about Brexit. And I see here in the headline news, 39 bodies found in a lorry container in Essex. And it would seem to indicate that those bodies that were found are migrants coming over from the continent over to the UK. And we know that many of those migrants who are coming from the Mediterranean, from North Africa, their intentions are to get to the UK or to get to some European country that has very favorable refugee policies and certainly have humanitarian policies when it, as regards refugees. So no doubt these found in the UK would be a part of that. And my question would be, does the whole issue of Brexit, has that accelerated the pace for migrants wanting to get into the UK in terms of anticipation of any changes in UK legislation, in UK immigration policies, whether or not things will change there? And also to talk about yesterday's vote in the UK Parliament in relation to the bill, the Brexit bill, which is basically the agreement that Boris Johnson was able to craft with the European Union, and that bill then was voted on in the House of Commons, had reached its second reading, but then got stalled there because the UK Parliament, while he was able to get additional 30 votes to take him over the hump in terms of acceptance of the bill, the Parliament then rejected the timetable because he had a very restricted and accelerated timetable to get the bill through before the 31st of October, and that was rejected. So the bill basically is in limbo at this point in time. He didn't withdraw it, but it is in limbo, and there is now conjecture as to what is likely to happen, from here on, whether we may see elections still before the end of the year or what. So I'd like to get both of your take on that situation.
Well, firstly, I think we all know now, and we all accept that if there's not a deal breaker, if there are not terms favorable to the UK, that Brexit will have a real adverse effect on people coming into the UK. Even Caymanians who hold British passports will have a problem going to the UK, into the European Union.
Yes.
Because there will be restrictions on people. There are over some 2 or 3 million people from Europe in England that would have to apply for leave to remain in the United Kingdom. And so a lot of people now, and I'm talking about starting primarily because of all the 30 bodies that they found in the lorry. Mm-hmm. People are trying to get to the UK quickly before the Brexit solution so that they can have a favorable place in the UK. The UK is more favorable place to live as far as all of the social amenities, benefits you can have than the European Union. And so now people are trying to get there because they realize that if they have to leave without a deal, that it will be harder for them to get into the UK. Because once you reach in the UK, then you're safe. It doesn't matter how you get there. Once you reach in the UK, you're safe. Now, what has happened with Boris Johnson is that although he got the bill passed, there were only 3 days to debate such a large bill. 3 days to debate such a large bill because he was looking to have all this wrapped up before the 31st of October. Mm-hmm. But only 20 minutes later, the House of Commons voted against some 32 to 308, 322 to 308 against the bill going in forward.
Yes. And
because they say that Boris Johnson should go back and get an extension of time to leave the European Union, which now I understand they have given an extension of time until January next year.
31st of January, they were
next year.
Okay.
So we don't know what's going to happen to the bill, whether it's going to be stuck there or whether he is going to call for an election so that he can get a mandate from the people in the UK to be able to put this thing through. We don't know. It seems to me it depends on the Scottish parties and the Labour Party. It depends on whether they will get together to thwart him. But it seems to me that he's going to be forced to get an election, because it seems to me that if they can stall the bill, and the reason why they stall the bill is because they have to next week They have to start the debate on the
Queen's speech. Yes.
Which has not been done yet.
Okay, we have to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the historical vignette series, sponsored by Cayman National Bank. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs. The Cayman Islands, he hath founded it upon the seas.
The silver thatch palm, native only to the Cayman Islands, was a highly useful and versatile tree. The open leaves were used in roofing, the ribs used for brooms, and the unopened leaf spikes woven into hats, mats, fans, and baskets. However, the most important product of the silver thatch, also the most marketable, was its usage in rope making. The rope was primarily made in West Bay, North Side, East End, Cayman Brac, and Little Cayman. Thatch ropes were used by all local fishermen and those in Jamaica, and the thinner gauge rope knitted into nets for turtle fishing. By the 1950s, synthetic fiber rope made its way into the market. Although not a huge source of profit at 9 pence per 100 yards, rope making was vital, especially for women, and meant the difference between survival or being destitute.
Radio Cayman's historical facts vignettes are proudly brought to you by Cayman National, with branches on all 3 Cayman Islands. Visit Cayman National Bank today for all of your financial needs.
540 months.
16,425 days.
394,200 hours.
45 years. That's how long we've been committed to serving you, and we won't stop there. Over the years, we have proudly grown with Cayman, making a difference in the community. That's why we're here to stand by you.
We are Cayman National.
And we thank you for standing by us for 45 years and counting.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way, initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
Congratulations, it's a boy.
During the greatest events of your life, whether or not you have the right health insurance coverage should be the last thing on your mind. That's why at Fidelity Health, we are committed to helping you get matched with the right plan to suit you and your family. We offer a range of plans to suit your budget, plus access to a network of quality care throughout the Caribbean and the USA. You can relax and enjoy life's greatest moments when you are covered with Fidelity Health. Call us today at 949-7822 for a free quote.
Do you own a Cayman parrot?
They are a protected species, but people have been allowed to keep them as pets for years.
It's opened the door to nest robbing and illegal trade of our national bird.
We need to stop it, but we should also give current Cayman parrot owners a chance to keep their bird legally.
If you own a Cayman parrot, you have until February 29th next year to register it with the Department of Environment.
Find out more about parrot registration by calling 949-8469 or emailing doe@gov.ky. Let's protect our Cayman parrots.
System 1 loaded.
1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the record.
This is For the Record with Orrett
Coming
Connor.
back. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have with me in the studio this morning Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve Macfield. We're initially discussing politics in the United Kingdom, in particular the House of Commons vote yesterday and the then placing in abeyance the bill, the Brexit bill, because the timetable was rejected by the House of Commons. Ms. T, over to you.
We got in such a very spirited discussion, even about the Canadian elections recently.
Yes.
But what I wanted to say was to remind the community that Brexit originated because the UK wanted to end free trade and the free movement of people across Europe. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of backdrop and context. As I was saying, one of the main concerns that I have is how it's going to affect the economy, because it is reputed to, or at least it's being discussed, that they will lose something like £30 billion pounds if this thing were to go through. And also the sort of head-on hit that they will take, because it's going to affect the trade, it's going to affect transport, it's going to affect food, fresh food,
medicine,
and healthcare, medicine, and how it's going to inflate the cost of healthcare and the medicine and energy. And that came to mind, with what we see going on in the U.S. with Mr. Putin and those arrangements that are being made. So I just wanted to put that into context to show that it won't simply limit, it'll have some practical head-on knocks as well.
Okay.
Well,
go ahead, Doc.
Yeah, and it seems to be a universal thing now, because the Great United States is closing their doors. Canada now start to close their doors. So Canada was one of the most liberal countries in the Western world. Mm-hmm. They start closing their doors. They had an enormous election the other night on Monday evening, and they and the government came back with a minority government, and I don't know how they're going to govern now. I guess they have to join another party, the other party.
There's a party where I think it may be Indian or something like that is the head.
That's the new Democratic Party.
Yes.
The NDP.
It seems as if they will what they call support confidence and supply and confidence.
Yeah,
vote.
They will support them and vote.
But they've always had a very important role in the Canadian politics as well, and
especially out west.
Exactly,
especially Vancouver and all of those other places. They always had a foothold there.
Yeah.
And under Barrett and all of those people, Ed Broadbent and all those people. But now, the leader of that party is now a Muslim, and as I was watching the elections, the campaigning in Canada, some women went up to him and said, "Don't you think it's better if you take off the turban and cut your beard and look like every other Canadian? Maybe you might get more votes." And he says, "No, I'm sticking to my tradition, my religion, and what it is." And people are saying that perhaps that is why they lost so many seats. Because they had something like near 40 odd seats in the past parliament, and now they're down to something like 23.
Yeah.
And
the Quebecois they gained.
The Quebecois is Parti Quebecois. They were. You remember the Parti Quebecois was a party that started back when Trudeau was a lawyer in Canada and couldn't get a job, and he started the Parti Quebecois with a lot of his friends. Yeah. But then it turned bad when they became very revolutionary. Remember when they kidnapped a guy called Cross in Laporte?
That's right. Yes, that's
and
right.
then they had to send and then Trudeau and then the Western Canada quickly took Trudeau in the government, made him justice minister. And then 2 years later, he became prime minister. And then he went after his friends to put them down. And in 1972, he started the brought in the War Measures Act and took away the civil liberties from all the people in Canada. And he was very hated for that.
Yeah.
So these people,
too, he was trying to make sure Canada stayed together.
Yeah, because Quebec is a different country. Yeah. They want to separate. They have different laws, different religion, different language, and everything, and they want to separate. And it's the same thing like these other places in Europe, and what happened to the Soviet Union. All of those other countries broke off and they separated and won their own autonomy. The same thing happening in Spain now also, where all these different ethnic groups, people want their own autonomy. And it's the same thing is happening in Cayman Islands. Now when you talk to people, they're talking about closing up Cayman and looking about our own selves and not thinking about bringing other people in. And this 100,000 people they want to bring into Cayman Islands in the next decade or whatever it is, that people are very worried about that because it diminishes their importance in their own country and the things that they can do. And so the world is changing real quickly. It's not only climate change. It's human change. Yes. The human beings are changing quickly too.
There is also the question, as to what Boris Johnson's real intentions are, whether or not he really wants this Brexit as it is, or whether he's just plain.
I think he wants a hard Brexit.
He wants a hard Brexit, yes. Because I think he wants to make a deal with the US. With the US.
Yes. Because yesterday, when you listened to the debate in the House of Commons, and all of the suggestions that were being made by members of his Conservative Party, by members of other parties, and other members who supported him, and just simply seeking to get this timetable resolved. And of course, they said the rules in the House of Commons, and in particular, I think it's a 1993 legislation that was changed when the Maastricht Treaty, when that was being debated, that was changed, that the rules changed then, and as a result they couldn't do that any longer. We've reached the top of the hour, 8 o'clock news. Folks, please stay tuned. So much to talk about, so much for us to discuss. We hope that you're enjoying it. We want you to participate in it as well. We'll soon come to the local part of our discussion as well. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back immediately after the 8 o'clock news.
Thank you, Mr. Connor. And studio time now by Price Right is 7:59.
Price Right is Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore, making your dollar go further with huge savings and no membership fees. Get more of the things you use every day at the right price. But it's not just grocery and health and beauty. Price Right has a full range of products from office to automotive, patio furnishings to kitchen appliances, and even electronics. And since warehouse prices mean savings for you, everything is priced right at Price Right, Grand Cayman's warehouse shopping superstore.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Your voice, your choice for today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Island.
From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego with your latest news. Honoring and respecting our seniors with a special service in Cayman Brac this weekend. CIGTV's Donna Bush has more.
As part of Older Persons Month, Premier and Minister of Community Affairs, the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, travelled over to Cayman Brac for the Sister Islands church service held at Crossroads United Baptist Church over the weekend. In the company of his ministry's chief officer, Teresa Echeniki, and DCFS Director Paulinda Mendoza-Williams, the Premier joined the congregation, which included Older Persons Month ambassadors, to fellowship and give thanks for the blessings of old age.
That is CIGTV's Donna Bush reporting. National Gallery Director Natalie Urquhart says the islands owe a debt of gratitude to artist Bendel Heights, who she describes as the forefather of modern Caymanian art.
As well, we've had this really remarkable creative history in terms of our shipbuilding, our architectural fretwork and our craft work. In terms of the more formal visual arts, Bendel was really at the forefront of helping move that entire conversation forward to where we are today with the National Gallery.
Mrs. Urquhart tells Radio Cayman Mr. Hydes is the first known Caymanian to study fine art abroad. His work has been lauded internationally, and the gallery is recognizing his remarkable career with an exhibition that shares his journey.
We're really honoured at the National Gallery to be showcasing this beautiful career retrospective of Bendel Heights' work, 45-year career survey, and honouring his legacy as we do.
The exhibit runs through January 2020. Turning to regional news now, a High Court judge has ruled that industrial action taken by doctors in the Bahamas was unlawful. We get the details now from Carib Update's Wendy Chateau.
Justice Ian Winder has prohibited the doctors from engaging in any form of industrial action over the payment of outstanding money. This after doctors withdrew their labor in late August. They have been agitating for better working conditions and an increase in wages. In a written ruling on Monday, he also said that the Bahamas Doctors Union, its officers, its servants and agents are now restrained from organizing or procuring its members to strike or to refuse to report to work when scheduled to do so. The judge ruled that union members are also prohibited from leaving their place of employment or otherwise participating in any form of industrial action going forward. Justice Winder found that the BDU contravened Section 76 of the Industrial Relations Act when it continued to strike despite its obligation to discontinue once the Labour Minister referred the dispute to the Industrial Tribunal. He said the strike in August had threatened the public interest. He said as a result, the government was entitled to injunctive relief. But speaking to reporters after the ruling, lawyer for the BDU, Obi Ferguson, said the matter isn't over yet.
We now turn to the BBC with a check of international news. That's it from me. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, I'm Shanda Gallego.
BBC News with Jerry Smith. Police in Britain have begun a murder investigation after a lorry was discovered outside London with 39 dead people inside. The driver, a 25-year-old man from Northern Ireland, has been arrested. The lorry, from Bulgaria, entered Britain on Saturday. The NATO chief has said the ceasefire in northeastern Syria should serve as a basis to achieve a political settlement. Jens Stoltenberg was speaking as joint Russian-Syrian patrols started operating to monitor the withdrawal of Kurdish forces from the border with Turkey. The UN Refugee Agency says a man has set himself on fire outside his headquarters in Geneva. It added the man was being treated in hospital for his injuries. Police say the man is a Syrian Kurd living in Germany. Lebanese soldiers are trying to reopen main roads closed by protesters as anti-government demonstrations enter a seventh day. Scuffles broke out in several areas. Indonesia's President Joko Widodo has named his main rival, Prabowo Subianto, as defence minister. Mr. Prabowo's inclusion will boost government support in Parliament and could make it easier to push through legislation. BBC News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by Sagicor. Let us put a smile on your face. Call 949-8211.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years. Let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
Avoid contact with standing water and floodwater during and after a storm to prevent exposing yourself to serious health risks, including infectious diseases, chemical hazards, and injuries. As an added precaution, your emergency kit should also include safety equipment such as rubber boots and gloves. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
This is our new chicken cheese pop. Popcorn chicken meets fried cheese bites, breaded with the 11 herbs and spices of our secret recipe. The collision of flavors that triggers your true cravings. Escape through indulgence with a new chicken cheese pop from KFC. It's finger-licking good.
Available for a limited time at KFC Shedden Road and KFC Baytown Plaza. Dine in or drive through.
Attention Cayman Brac, the Radio Cayman team will be visiting the Brac today, the 23rd, registering participants for this November's Brac Breeze Fusion 5K Walk Run. We'll be at the Marketplace from 8:30 until 10 this morning and Cayman National Bank from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. This year's event will benefit the Leo's Club of Cayman Brac. Walk with pride, run with passion, and join your number one station, Radio Cayman.
The Weather Report is proudly sponsored by Super Stitch Sewing and Fabric Center, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasador Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Super Stitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special now in curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Super Stitch. Super Stitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at the latest weather report. Current temperature is 84 degrees. Relative humidity is 89%. Barometric pressure 29.90 inches and rising. The wind is east at 3 knots. Overnight low temperature was 81 degrees. Synopsis indicate moderate easterly winds and seas expected across the Cayman area for the next 24 hours as a high-pressure system builds over the eastern United States. Radar images show isolated showers in and around the Cayman area, moving towards the west-southwest. Now the forecast for today calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures will be in the low 90s today. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. And pretty much the same for tonight, partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of showers and possible thunder, and temperatures falling to the upper 70s. Your winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gust, and seas will be moderate with wave heights of 3 to 5 feet. Low tide will be this afternoon at 12. High tide this evening at 6:18. The sun will set this evening at 5:56 and will rise tomorrow morning at 6:23. And the outlook is calling for similar weather conditions through Friday morning.
Superstitch Sewing and Fabric Center was the proud sponsor of the Weather Report, your one-stop shop for all of your household items, craft items, jewelry, beads, and decorations, and much more. Call Superstitch at 949-2833 or email customer care at superstitch.com.ky.
Thinking of decorating your home or your apartment? Then Superstitch is the place for all your household needs. We have sheets, comforters, bathroom accessories, curtains, and a whole lot more. We are the original curtain store with curtains for every room in the house. Some special Nolan curtains for $10 a panel. Yes, just $10 a panel. Come see us today at Superstitch. Superstitch, your one-stop household store at 39 Pasadora Place, Smith Road. Still offering the best prices in town. Call 949-2833 or go to superstitch.com.ky.
Think about something that makes you happy. Did it make you smile? We know it did, because that's what we do at Sagicor. Put smiles on our clients' faces every day. With a large range of products to cover your family, it's no wonder most locals choose Sagicor for their life insurance needs. Serving the community for over 25 years, let us put a smile on your face. Call your Sagicor advisor today.
Always separate debris from household garbage after a hurricane hits. Debris includes roofing materials, downed tree branches, and metals. All items of debris must be placed in separate piles to the front of the property or at a side that is easily accessible to collection trucks. Debris must be placed in a location that will not cause obstruction to roadways or come in contact with electrical lines. For more post-hurricane waste management tips, visit the DEH website at www.deh.gov.ky.
Vehicle owners are reminded that the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing amnesty will expire on November 1st. The amnesty provides a waiver of back fees for unlicensed vehicles. If you plan to keep your vehicle on the road, keep your plates and visit the DVDL. If you are discarding your vehicle, dispose of it at the landfill and drop your plates off at the DVDL. For more information, contact 945-8344 or visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Good morning once again. Let's take a look at traffic. Coming from the east on Shamrock Road, traffic is free-flowing, as well as on the Linford Pearson Highway. Steady traffic on Cool Road, some sections busy. Coming off of Bobby Thompson Way, moderate flow of traffic. And traffic is free-flowing coming from the West Bay four-way stop. Looking towards Edward Street and Shedden Road, things looking pretty good as traffic is flowing smoothly. And on Eastern Avenue and Godfrey Nixon Way, moderate flow of traffic. No issues on Owen Roberts Drive as traffic is light. And traffic flowing pretty good on North Sound Road. That's the very latest on your traffic. Join us again at about 10 minutes after 12 for more traffic report. Have a good morning. Remember, click it or ticket.
You've come to love Subway's Eat Fresh menu. Let them bring it to you and cater your next important meeting or outing. From customized box lunches starting at just $6 to their famous platters, you'll love the taste and the price. Have Subway cater your next staff meeting, boat or beach outing, or birthday party. Their crowd-pleasing sandwich trays will do the trick, like the Fresh Fit platter or maybe the new double meat wrap platter. Subway has a platter to fit everybody's taste. And don't forget to add a cookie platter for dessert. Cater with Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Planning a meeting, event, or office celebration? Visit subway.ky to place your catering order today.
Rising Stars Dance Ministry is proud to present the annual Dance for Christ, Saturday, November 16th at the Church of God Chapel Family Life Center, featuring visiting U.S. artist Malia Bailey, UCCI Dance Group, Dream Chasers, JJZ Dance Ministry, Dance Unlimited, J Prophet,
Famous Cousins, Cernan Biblical, Victory Tabernacle Dance Group, Christ Cathedral Youth Choir. MC for this event will be Cheryl T. and many more local talents. Tickets are only $10 pre-sold, $15 at the gate, and children under 12 are only $5. Tickets are on sale now at Funky Times and Christ Cathedral. Dance for Christ is proudly sponsored by Burger King, Domino's, Wendy's, Link International, Funky Times, and Radio Cayman. This November 16th, don't miss out on Dance for Christ, brought to you by the Rising Stars Dance Ministry.
Saturday, November 2nd, Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run. Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run
and a 10K run for half marathon trainers.
Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCBO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it. You like to move it. The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Taking place at Smith Bacadere, starting at 6:15 a.m.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me this morning Miss Teresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve Matfield. And I'm going to throw the mic back over to Miss Teresa for now.
Gosh, we were having a whale of a time here talking about just about everything. No, Steve, one of the things that I know you started to discuss, and perhaps this is something that you can expand on to the and show how it relates to our community. I was saying to you that look at the way in which trade unionism is coming back into the fore. And if you looked at the younger workers that worked with General Motors, and that's the first time in 12 years you've actually seen unionism in a company like that, the United Auto Union, and yeah, this kind of resurgence, and also think about what happened with BA and their pilots when they went on strike as well, and so we were talking a little bit about this, and I was saying that the younger people are getting smarter and smarter, and they don't come with the kind of baggage, the historical baggage. They recognize that there's soaring inequality in the communities. People are worried about the rising cost of living, the inaccessibility with respect to health care, the just economic vulnerability that people face. Same here in Cayman as well. When we talk about outsourcing, people are unable to get jobs because to save costs, many of the bigger countries tend to outsource the jobs to communities like India and in China and so on. And people are feeling it and understanding it and also thinking about the future of the planet as well.
Yeah, because although we are a small community and a lot of people have found us now, remember now when we were a community that nobody wanted to engage in because there were all kinds of things that kept us away, the mosquitoes, the climate. The amenities were not like they are today. No electricity, no telephone systems and things like that. Mm-hmm. Now that people have found us now, and what they've done now is like the same thing what they're fighting for in the UK. And I'm trying to patch that together. The same thing they're fighting for in the UK is that globalization and this one world concept now has skyrocketed, and people are now fighting against that. It's taking away their identity, it's taking away their way of life, it's taking away what they have been used to. And when the organism it's invaded by bacteria or by something, it reacts. Yeah. And the same thing in the social life, where when people find themselves being pushed away from their habitat, they start to react, and when people see that their life is changing around them, they react, and it's not from their own doing. Now, if it had been them changing their lifestyle, you wouldn't see it, because we keep talking about our culture and our heritage and stuff and things like that, but we don't see that. And we talk about it, but it's not something that affects us, that we resent the change that we have made for ourselves. But when people from outside come and change, and one of the things that really hurts Caymanians, as I was saying to you before when we were in the break, is that the low income status in which they are relegated to now blunts their motivation, because I remember a time when Caymanians could travel all over the world. They could go to America, they could go to Jamaica, they could go all places, and they did that on the money that their families were sending for them from abroad. Their men and their brothers and sisters and their uncles and fathers and whatever, their husbands. Today, they can't do that. They can't even pay their bills today. They can't even find a home to live in today. Yeah. And they see they see the whole political structure changing, and just like it was happening in Brexit in England and in Canada and all those places, and I'm afraid that the Caymanian politics are becoming very viciously polarized, and we are sort of on the brink also of a bitter cleavage that is not going to help us, because that brings me into the next topic that we want to talk about is regiments,
yes.
Army, and people now in the community. Now they have volunteers in the community. What are they for? Why do you want to have an army? And it's because if you study the colonial history and you go back, they already see the bigger picture, that this tranquility is not going to last forever. And so these communities want to protect themselves before it actually starts. They're not going to wait and have a reaction after it starts. That is how they react. You remember the Willa Lynch situation when the slaves were rebelling in America, and then this plantation in Jamaica had 300-400 slaves, and there were a couple of white people on the plantation, and they were saying, well, why are they not rebelling? So they asked him, well, what do you do? So he sent him a formula in the form of a letter. So, which was called the Willa Lynch letter, to say this is what you do. This is what you do. And so here we are now, where we don't have enough money for free education all over, where we don't have enough money to give people a income that they can live off. A sustainable income, and then now we're putting in army, and now we're putting in
is it an army? Let's talk about the
regiment. They say it's an army. They say
regiment.
I hope it's not an army. I hope it's what they say it is. They say it's a regiment for disaster.
Well, that's what they're saying, but they
authorized to carry guns.
Yeah, but let's go to the government's statement and the press release in relation to it, right? Yes. And we go to the press release. Cayman to develop a regiment.
Yes.
And it starts by pointing out that the Right Honourable Mark Lancaster, TD-MP, UK Minister of State for the Armed Forces, His Excellency the Governor, Martin Roper, and the Premier, Alden McLaughlin, today announced a proposal for a Cayman regiment. And it goes on to say, following discussions over the last 10 months between the United Kingdom government and the Cayman Islands government, and I take it that it's in relation to this, the Minister traveled to Cayman this week to meet with the Governor and Premier to discuss first steps in establishing the Cayman Regiment, which would improve security and disaster management capability in the Cayman Islands and the region. Goes on to say a team of United Kingdom military and civilian experts from the United Kingdom Ministry of Defence and the Foreign and Commonwealth Office plan to deploy to Cayman before the end of the year to conduct an operational needs assessment. This scoping exercise is required to take the project forward and will ascertain the level of UK support required. Initial assistance from the United Kingdom is likely to take the form of logistical advice and support, but will develop further to include operational training and equipment. And it goes on to say, Minister for the Armed Forces Mark Lancaster said, quote, "The United Kingdom enjoys a close and historical bond with the Cayman Islands, and through helping to establish the island's 1st Regiment, we are strengthening this relationship even further. We are committed to the safety and security of the overseas territories. Having recently worked with the regional partners on the response to Hurricane Dorian, we have demonstrated both the depth and the commitment and value we place on our partnership in the Caribbean. I am delighted that the UK can help establish a Cayman regiment." And it goes on to say what the governor has said in that regard. Let's see what our premier said in that regard. Premier Alden McLaughlin said, "Having a specially trained regiment in Cayman would have a positive impact on youth development and leadership on the islands. It will also give a boost to security and increase our resilience on disaster management and the support we could offer across the wider Caribbean. I am pleased that the UK are keen to support this initiative, and we welcome the expertise and involvement." And then it goes on to talk about some of the things that the UK has worked with before. But central to all of this is that there's going to be a scoping exercise, but it appears to me as if Cayman, the people of the Cayman Islands, whether through their government or through voices like yourselves and others, will have some input as to what that regiment will comprise of. So. What will be the purpose of it? In the past, you, Dr. Markfield, have spoken about national service and things of that nature. Yes, So here is an opportunity for us to craft.
That is fine.
An organization that will that could possibly encompass all of that if your voices are heard.
That is fine, Orrett, but it didn't germinate from us. It came from the UK. It came from the UK. It came from them. And when you look at when you read between the words what they say, and when I read about the Jamaica Regiment, when I read about the Bermuda Regiment, the first thing it says they're finding it hard now to get people by conscription. They now passed a bill to say that they're not going to do that anymore now. It says conscription has served a very important purpose to recruit the number of people required for the regiment to fulfill its roles. The regiment has 4 roles listed in the Defense Act. And I bet you we're going to have the same kind of Defense Act here to establish the regiment. The first and most important is to support the police in time of civil unrest or disobedience.
Okay, can we pause there for a second? Yeah. Let's take a look at the history of Bermuda, right? 1960s, 1968, you had the theater boycotts. Why? Because in 1968, Bermuda was still a segregated society. Blacks and whites attended different theaters to watch movies. They were segregated, right? So when it came, there were tensions there, and that is why an army was needed. Now, I hear what you're saying, Dr. Markfield, that, we may be looking down the line because society is changing, people's attitudes are changing, younger people's attitudes are changing, and we may need that. We know why Bermuda had it then, because there was racial turmoil in Bermuda. Not to mention what happened after in terms of the murder of the governor and the police chief.
Well, and what he said to establish the first Cayman regiment, we already had a regiment here in the 1940s. Yes. But the point I'm trying to make, it didn't come from our own initiative. Unless they're not telling us.
Well,
unless they're not telling us the truth.
I tried to read through that as well because the release goes on to say that their discussions have been taking place over several months. But like you said, we don't know where that initiative
come from because they travel from England to have talks with us, and that bothers me because it seems to me that of the 400 people that they're going to need or 300 people they're going to need, where are they going to come from?
Well, are we going to need that many here? That's what Bermuda has.
Well, that's what.
Are we going to need that many here?
And then we have a larger population than Bermuda.
Not much.
Not that much.
We're just getting close to where
we're about 72,000 or something.
We're almost that close.
Okay, we have to take a commercial break, and I believe we have 2 callers as well. So let's take the commercial break. We'll take the calls, and then we'll continue our discussion. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way, initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to Vamp Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to Vamp Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with Vamp cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit Vamp Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts.
Few people speak up when they witness cyberbullying. Logic is proud to present The Change Project, a 15-minute documentary that captures the reality of cyberbullying and the mental health impact on teens, parents, teachers, and families. It's part of a campaign that strives to make a difference in the community by promoting responsible internet and social media use in the Cayman Islands. Screening is at the Camana Bay Cinema on Friday, October 25th at 7 p.m. Afterwards, please join Logic for a family-friendly gathering at Abacus. RSVP to eventpro.ky.
The government claims the cruise berthing facility won't cost us a penny. It will be paid for by the cruise passenger who use it, not by our people or our government.
The fact is, you will be paying.
Because government is going to give the consortium development team, led by Royal Caribbean and Carnival, a portion of the cruise revenue that is currently being banked by government.
What's more, we will be repaying them
$450 million.
$250 million more
than what the facility even costs.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
CUC advises customers on Pedro Castle Road in Savannah that they will experience interruptions to their electrical service on Thursday, October 24th between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Areas affected include all customers on Pedro Castle Road from the junction with Sandy Ground Drive, including West Lane, Adams Lane, Charity Lane, Pedro Villas Lane, and all side roads. The Cayman Islands Baptist Church, Pedro St. James, and some customers on Sandy Ground Drive will be affected by this outage. Motorists are asked to drive with caution when using Pedro Castle Road, as CUC will have a number of vehicles and personnel in the area and will be deploying rumble strips and signage to manage the traffic flow. CUC apologizes for this interruption, which is necessary to facilitate required overhead infrastructure upgrades to provide our customers with safe, reliable, and efficient power. For more information on the outage and streets affected, please contact CUC's customer service team at 949-5200 or email service@cuc.ky.
System 1 loaded. 1-800-534-8255. What is on your mind when it comes to the government, independence, and the opposition? Issues that matter to you. 1-800-534-8255. Waiting to hear from you. For the Record.
This is For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We have two callers on hold, so we're going to the phone lines as promised. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O'Connor.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, speaking of work permits, well, the government has raised the work permit fees in certain areas, but what is happening, not all, but some of these individuals, some of these employers are making their employees that they have on work permits, they're making them pay for their own work permits. And not only their own work permits, they're also making them pay for their own health insurance. And I know this for a fact. But once I was working with a company, and they told me that I would have to pay my whole health insurance, and I told them I could not afford it. And they told me, well, if I don't do so, I'll be spoiling it for everybody else. So I kept my pay slips, and after the work was done, I took all my pay slips to the government building, and I showed them to who I needed to show them to. And those people had to come to the government building and speak to me and the person that was in charge of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I got back everyone said that they took from me.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And did your co-workers get theirs, recover theirs as well?
No, I went to my co-workers and some of them afterwards, and I mentioned it to them. But they were afraid to say anything because they were afraid to lose their work permits.
Okay.
So this is what is happening, and we have 600 students graduating each year in the Cayman Islands. And if the government doesn't put a stop to what is happening here now, then our children are going to find it hard getting work. And what these people are doing, after they get residency, after they get startups, they're hiring their own.
That's what Steve was saying.
And they are making them do the same thing, pay their own health insurance, pay for their own work permits, and because government has risen the cost of paying for a work permit, this is their strategy of getting around that by making people pay for their own work permits.
Mm-hmm. Caller, I don't want to sound as if because it was done before that it is right, but that is a practice that has been a challenge to immigration authorities over the years in that regard. And legislation was put in place that made it an offense for any employer to require their employees to pay for any fees in respect of a work permit.
And health.
But the problem is with that is that those persons who really need a work permit and want them are prepared to suffer these injustices by employers simply because they want to have a job. A job.
Let me ask you a question, Mr. Orrett Connor. You listening?
Go. Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Okay. You were head of the immigration one time.
Mm-hmm.
What can the immigration department do to put a stop to this?
Well, like I said, we have it in legislation. We can only rely on employees coming in and saying that they've been victimized, that they have had to pay for it. You know when you normally hear that? You hear that when there is animosity between employer and employee, and then that employee will come in and say, here's what they made me do before. They will never come in voluntarily to do it. One of the policies that we had in regards to that was when someone voluntarily came in and said that they were being taken advantage by their employer, we know that the next step for the employers would be to write in a letter that painted a bad picture for that employee and tried to prevent them from getting another work permit. What we would do, we would investigate the case ourselves, and we would report to the work permit board if another application went in for that employee and that complaint was on there. We would present the other side of the story so that that employee was not victimized in terms of his inability to get another work permit. But it is all reliant upon the individual coming in and telling the authorities that they have had to pay for their work permits. Without that, you can do absolutely nothing.
And caller, yes. One of the problems that you have is, for instance, in the country or countries where the average salary is $7,000 of their dollars a month, and the weekly salary is $1,600 a week, where our dollar is 158 of theirs. That means that you're working for $10 a day. CI. $12. You're working for $10 a day CI, and when they come here and we give them $8 and $10 an hour, it means that they automatically are millionaires in their own country, and they are not going to sacrifice that to make any complaint against any employer. It doesn't matter how the employer treats them. I had a matter the other day where somebody came to see me who had a serious injury on their job. Negligence by the employer. They got injured and they would not go to make a complaint or even to let the employer know they had got injured, because they were scared that the employer would tell them to go home and lose their job. And today now they're injured and can't work. And when they went back to the employer, but the employer said, "Well, you didn't report this to me when it happened. You could have gotten this injury in any other place." So that's the problem. That's the problem that we have in Cayman today.
Caller, final comments, because we still have another caller on hold behind you.
Mr. Mikey, I understand what you're saying, because I asked a Filipino guy one time. I said, how much to build a 4-bedroom upstairs, 2-bathroom cement house in Philippines? And he told me $40,000 US. So I understand what you're saying, but what you all are saying to me now, that this is going to continue, and there's nothing government can do about it unless employees come in.
But government has to be aware of what is happening.
Hold on, OC and Steve. The central problem with this way of thinking is relying on the victim. It's like women who are raped. You know, when historically we relied on women to come in and say that they're raped when they're being bullied. Now you have the Me Too movement, which actually addresses that. I'm not saying that a Me Too movement here in Cayman is what's going to be right, but I'm thinking it's fallacious to assume that victims under these circumstances are going to just come in and volunteer.
But how do you know that the offense has been committed if someone doesn't come forward?
Well, you can actually, not you personally, but we can actually develop policies within the immigration, because we know this happened, do random searches. That's authorized and can be done.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that?
Random searches in people's homes. So if you come in and you make an application for a work permit, and you have maybe how many we have? Say 10,000. Of the 10,000, you can choose maybe 1,000, and then look into whether or not these work permits are actually legit, and that's fine. It's not.
No, but we're not talking about the legitimacy of the work permit. We're talking about whether or not the employee has paid for the.
But that's
the
what I mean.
it.
That's implicit in what I'm saying. That's what I'm addressing.
Caller, I want to thank you very much for that. We still have another caller on hold, but we have to take another commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly.
Sometimes having a middleman is not a bad thing, especially when it comes to insurance. Do you know that when it comes to cost, ease, speed, and peace of mind, insurance brokers ranked higher than when customers buy direct? So, For all your insurance needs, call Fidelity Insurance. We're the middleman you want. Call us today at 949-7822. Fidelity. We're good for you.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
Women in White, a culinary journey hosted by locally acclaimed chefs to raise funds towards a culinary scholarship for women.
Join Chefs Jessica,
Chef Tamisha,
and Chef Brittany in a beautiful villa sponsored by Luxury Cayman Villas, serving you 6 delicious courses, all infused with local ingredients on 3 live chef stations. Women in White. Your ticket includes the open bar and live music. Join the Women in White on October 26th from 7 to 11 p.m., all for a worthy cause. Women in White. Tickets can be found at eventpro.ky. For more information, visit www.womeninwhitefoundation.com.
Support our port, support our tourism.
Did you know the cruise berthing facility will not cause flooding in Georgetown? In fact, wave walls will be built in addition to the piers, and marine engineers say that this could reduce the force of incoming waves. Learn more and spread the word.
Looking forward, looking bright. Support our port, support our tourism.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve McField, and we have a caller on hold. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. We have 2 calls now. First caller has been on there for quite a while. So caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Morning, Mr. O.C. Good morning to Dr. McField, and good morning to Mrs. Pitcairn.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir.
It's Johan Moxham. How's it going, guys?
Fine, and yourself?
All right, so I just want to get out of the gates something positive. It's
Okay.
always great when you have the Doc and Mrs. Pitcairn there. The only thing missing this morning is the third musketeer, Miss Mary Law.
Yes, she was traveling. I think she's supposed to be back.
She just had another granddaughter.
Wow, congrats to her.
Congrats to her and the family. But having said that, as somebody that pays attention to everything that goes on in our country, I think we all do because we care, and this is home.
Mm-hmm.
It's always fantastic to see and hear, or not see, well, you can see on the TV, on YouTube, listen to this sort of debate, dialogue, just the level of consciousness. And what warms my heart is, we might have difference of opinions on a lot of things. There's so few strong, eloquent, educated, multi-generational black Caymanians that are prepared to call it as they see it, engage in public debate that even though me and you have our moments, I think your Wednesday show with these guests is first class, and long may it continue.
Thank you. And our moments, they're just that. They're moments, because after that, we're
back to square one as friends. Yeah.
Yes.
And can we highlight that, because it is so important. Yes. We're getting past that thin skin thing and just good. Thanks.
Listen, broad shoulders, eat too much ice cream, respect begets respect is how I live my life. You know. So, but I say all of that to say this. you see what you guys were talking about earlier, and OC, the British regiment, the Cayman regiment thing.
Mm-hmm.
You asked a point that was so salient. How did this come about? When did this conversation start, and what exactly is the scope? Because again, this seems to be one of those sort of conversations that is being had elsewhere, and then it just kind of gets dropped on you. Even though I understand the merits of it, having the information is best in order to avoid any confusion, any sort of misrepresentations, and so on and so forth. But my real reason for calling was, guys, we're building the country. Development is great. The diversity of Cayman is great. And we're lucky to be able to have investors who wants to put their money in the ground, do the construction projects, all the rest of that stuff. But what we aren't doing, and I'm happy for anybody to disagree with me, is are we really planning for our own people to capitalize on these opportunities?
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
that's
That's
the $1 million question.
Yeah.
Development for whom?
And we know better. And that is what really scares me. We know better.
Go ahead, caller.
Something different in 2019 that we didn't do in 1985 because we still aren't investing in the people and giving them opportunities. I'm going to give you an example. We give concessions to everybody, yet we aren't able to mark or gauge what those concessions consist of, and we aren't able to tie that to Caymanian employment at a time when underemployment is significant, at a time when the government are getting a handle on the employment for the unskilled, I guess you would say. But you have kids, university graduates. I get the calls. People are home 2 years from school, can't get an interview in the Cayman Islands, and sitting on their parents' couch. But yet we brag and we take all the credit for how much work permits and how much revenue, but we aren't investing in our own or giving our own the opportunities, and we aren't demanding as we negotiate with these businesses that, hey, your workforce must represent X percentage of the Caymanian population. And the reason why I say that is you can show up off of a plane from anywhere in this world, have zero experience in the field that you're applying to, and you will get the job. Yet a Caymanian with a bachelor's degree can't get an interview. There's something about that says to me, we have to start really understanding what this thing is about, because there's a level of consciousness now, and this thing called millennials that I do not understand. They're a completely different level of people altogether. I'm not old, but I know what I don't get, and I don't get them. And if the right person can connect to them, there's going to be a civil uprising, because young Caymanians, experienced Caymanians, educated Caymanians aren't getting a chance in their Cayman Islands, and we just need to ask ourselves, why is that? And more importantly, what is our leadership prepared to do to ensure Caymanians matter in the Cayman Islands? Because the most entitled Caymanians right now are the new Caymanians. There are a million stories of people who will tell you, boy, when I was on a work permit, I had plenty of opportunities. Now that I'm Caymanian, I get nothing. And when that's like the perfect storm developing. So again, it's just a question of having you guys opine and continue to speak to the issues, because it's amazing to listen to the exchanges amongst the three of you, but I think our people need to understand, and more importantly, our government need to understand, the time is now to set the record straight and give us all a chance if we really want to continue to be successful. And you can only be successful if your people are successful.
True.
So
thank you very much, Mr. Martin. Thank you very much for that.
And it depends on the new Caymanian. You have to know that there are different types and different classes of new Caymanians as well. So my mind is about what Pindlin, I remember what Pindlin said about those Bay Street boys, but there you have it.
Okay. Let me read one of the emails that we received. We one caller hung up, so hopefully they will call back. So we still have about 6 minutes before we go to the headline news at 9 o'clock. It says, good morning to you and your distinguished panel. One of the issues of accepting British/UK involvement in a regiment here is that the British government may expect some of the norms from their society to be gradually imposed here. Maybe it is a Trojan horse which we would be well advised to approach with extreme caution. There are undeniable, profound differences between Cayman and the UK society in regards to their values. We must be careful not to allow them to impose their values on us. I think that is well said.
Yes,
but I mean, are we independent? I mean, that's always my. Hold on.
Mm-hmm. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, because that's always my starting point. You know, so let's be real. Let's be real. If we are talking about certain real, authentic changes that are in our best interest, we need to have a look at the Constitution and our constitutional status. That's number one. What I was about to say to Johan when he called was I met on Friday with a young man who showed me 306 work applications that he made for a job. This guy is articulate, this guy is smart, and so on. And I'm saying, I mean, I quietly rolled my eyes, because I didn't want to convey what I was feeling inside, and I just wanted to express some hope. But 306 applications for a job.
Okay.
Anyway.
We have one caller. We have about 3 minutes before we go to headline news. So I just want to alert the caller that we going to have them on a short leash. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hello, Mr. O.C., Mr. Moderator.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Good morning.
Wonderful panel that I like to listen to.
Good morning, Mr. Adams.
Something that I would have wondered for some time. Does it make sense to us to import poverty? With the minimum wage that we have, it fixed that. When government has their nice programs, they know that they have to pay people $10 before they're going to come out to work. The government NAU has a salary fix at, if you don't earn $3,000 a month, then you can go to government and you can get assistance. So they import labor. Some people are working, Caymanians are working, but they still go to NAU and they get assistance for a variety of things, from rent, electricity, water, cards to go to the supermarkets, and cynical assistance. And this is an ever-growing amount. So what we're ending up doing is subsidizing the billionaires for the cheap labor that they're importing, that's suppressing the earnings of Caymanians at the lower end of the employment pool.
Mm-hmm.
How about, being as we have this out of control, to get to 100,000 by the two co-premiers that has been ongoing for a number of years, and they're well on track to do that nonsense. How about if we start to push and consider freezing the work permits in the lower ranks? That will cause people to have to start to pay more, and the lowest you grant a work permit is where NAU says anything below that amount, we have to pay people to help them in order to survive.
But if I can interrupt you very quickly for a second, what do if you cut off the flow of work permits, do we have a sufficient pool here to cover the work that is needed to be done?
It's when you decide whether you should have the business here or not.
Okay.
You see, a lot of tourism business depends on subservience, depends on people not earning a decent living wage. And this is what we need to start to consider. Not all business is good business. And when you're taking your level down to that, and if you remember the 1992 tourism management report done by the only tourism minister who really understood what Product Cayman was, Mr. Norman Bodden, the Honorable Norman Bodden, that's one of the things that was suggested in that you don't grant work permits until, or you don't allow new properties to open until you have 60-70% of the staff being Caymanian. And I didn't say not to grant any at all. I'm saying do not allow any new businesses to come in if they cannot afford to pay the people their salary that is at or above what NAU considers below that. They have to fork out the money. But what we're doing, change it for change it, driving the Caymanian earnings down and pushing the taxes up on the middle class. They're having to pay more and more in order to fund and subsidize these new developments, especially in the tourism sector. It is a crazy path that we're on. It is not sustainable. Bottom line.
Okay.
God bless you all. Thank you. Have a
Thank you very
wonderful
much,
day.
caller. You have a great day as well. Folks, please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back immediately after headline news at 9 o'clock.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
It's only 2 species that we have, on the island.
Generations present.
Your voice, your choice. For today's biggest news. Access.
Local, regional, international, this is headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom team.
Today's biggest news.
Verdantile Port Partners, the group named as preferred bidder for the Cayman Islands Cruise Berthing and Cargo Enhancement Project, will be hosting a job fair and open house on Tuesday, October 29th from 4 until 8 p.m. According to officials, the job fair will provide opportunities for information and to register expressions of interest in areas such as building, heavy civil, marine construction, tours and shore excursions, and cruise ship positions. The job fair will take place in the upstairs conference room at Margaritaville Beach Resort, Grand Cayman. It is open to the public. To register interest in attending or to secure a tour business meeting appointment, visit www.verdant.ky/job fair. In news elsewhere, police in southeastern England said 39 people were found dead Wednesday inside a large cargo truck believed to have come from Bulgaria. The truck, which is said to have entered Britain via the Welsh port of Holyhead on Saturday, was found by ambulance workers at Waterglade Industrial Park in Grays, a town around 25 miles east of central London. Turkey and Russia have agreed to what they say is a historic deal aimed at keeping Kurdish forces away from Syria's border with Turkey. It comes during a pause in Turkey's offensive to drive Kurdish forces out, creating a safe zone in the area. Under the deal, Syrian and Russian forces will immediately oversee a withdrawal of Kurdish forces. There is no word from the Kurdish fighters, whom Turkey regards as terrorists. The deal sets out plans for joint Turkish-Russian patrols along the border next week. Those are your latest updates here on Radio Cayman. I'm Shanda Gallego.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman for the latest in news and information.
Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Download the Radio Cayman app or log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. My pleasure to have in the studio with me Miss Theresa Pitcairn and Dr. Steve McFeel. Can we go back to the Cayman Regiment, if that's what it's going to be called or whatever? So based on the press release, we know that talks were going on for 10 months. We don't know where the initiative came from. Yeah. What will be interesting is to see whether or not any such proposal is made to any of the other overseas territories. For instance, Turks and Caicos has its challenges. Yes. Has its challenges with Haitian migrants, and they come by the boatloads, and those boatloads usually consist of over 100 persons, coming there as well. I believe that there is another overseas territory. I'm not sure whether it's Anguilla, Montserrat, one of them, that may have something similar in terms of a regiment. But there are certainly positives to regiment. If depends on how it is approached, how much input is sought. Because what I said earlier, when
how much local input is sought, how much local input is sought,
and actually taken seriously and and assessed and make it translated into a positive thing for us. So at least. But
at the same time, we need to insist that our voices are heard, because a system may be put in place whereby your children or your grandchildren may be subjected to having to serve in a regiment, depending on what's put in place. So we shouldn't wait for the authorities to come to us and ask for our viewpoints. We should find some way to ensure that those views are given, whether it's given through our elected representatives or whether or not we take to some platform to get our views out as well.
As long as those views at the end of the day are reflective in the legislation that we adopt.
But we don't know unless we put the views forward.
But I'm
won't know.
not suggesting that we don't. I'm just saying from a practical experience, yeah, sure, that's all well and good to be heard. But as long as it lands up in the proper legislation in a measured way that we can all live with.
And we have a caller, but before we go to that caller, you mentioned something before, Ms. Teresa, about independence. Let's look at who has control over internal security, the police in the Cayman Islands. We have a minister who, when it comes to the budget and funding for it, speaks to that in the Legislative Assembly, but that's one of the governor's powers that he has in relation to the police. Yeah. The regiment is going to be a part of that because we're not an independent country. We're not allowed to have our own. If it becomes a standing arm or whatever it is, we're not allowed, to have that when it comes to any sort of military activity or security activity.
It's going to be under his direction.
Well. Yes, yeah.
His direction. And I don't know if history is repeating itself. But I remember in 1962, a regiment was one of the main reasons why we didn't get an internal self-governing constitution.
Okay.
You remember that? When we were supposed to have a lieutenant governor with a ministerial system, chief minister, have full internal self-government, and the only thing that we could not provide for ourselves was a regiment and external affairs offices in different places.
And that was going to be, the Federation was going to take part of that.
Jamaica was going to provide that for us for £10,000 a year. Yeah. And that was the thing that caused the breakdown. Not the breakup, caused a retardation of us moving forward when Dr. Roy McTaggart seized on that.
Yes.
And you had that awful debate between himself and Mr. Ormond Panton and all those people. You remember that?
Yep.
Good.
We have a caller. Let's go to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, man. Good morning, Dr. Frank. Good morning, Ms. Piquera.
Good morning, Dr. Steve.
I'm Dr. Steve.
Yeah. Good morning.
Morning, sir. Okay. Down by the regiment, I'm sitting down in my house just looking out and listening to Mr. Adams about the important poverty. We've been doing it for years, and like Miss and the lady said, we could always find out if they're paying for their permits, But we're not into that because check how much people in the immigration that have got caught doing that. And what they done, they wait for them 3-4 years, let them go or whatever. It's doing it. The people that working for the same people that's going to be enforcing the law are the major ones that are breaking the law. But now let's get back to the regiment. What the regiment is for, Mr. Steve, is you see all of those children that done got police record and the fathers got police record. You see, when they're in prison, the $6 hour laborers come in breeding their woman, their sister, their children. Well, this regiment, you see, is to kill their grandchildren because they're not going to get nothing. They're coming up in the little small ghettos in Cayman. That is what the army is going there. The rich people building gated communities, and they got to secure the cameras. But down in the ghetto, like here, what is it? Gunshot echo. Well, that's when the military going in there. Wait a minute. What are you in the military for in Jamaica? To kill their own people or try to keep them from killing each other? That is what that is all about. Like you say, they have a long-term plan, but nobody don't see it. But I see it. And I hope you guys have a nice day.
Thank you very much for that. So you think that the regiment is to fulfill an ulterior motive?
Yeah, he's off.
It's gone.
Yeah. But that's interesting that's his point of view.
Yes.
I mean,
that's
it was.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it was an unsolicited point of view, and it even put my hair on. You know, my hair.
Carl, are you still there?
No,
he's gone. He's gone.
But the millennia that Johan spoke about, they are real, you know, and we can pretend that they're not there, and we can pretend that it's not a problem, but they're real.
And we can sit here and we can say on the platform, and other people can come on here. Some politicians come on here too and talk about the unrest that they see will come. You think that those people don't listen, and they don't take that into perspective? They every month the report goes up to the UK about the affairs in Cayman Islands. They know everything about everybody. And so what they are going to do is to be prepared before it happens. That is what they usually do. That's the colonial system, how it works. And if people do not understand that, then they do not have any knowledge of their history and the colonial system, how it works. If they were interested in a regiment for disaster purposes and to develop Caymanian youth and things like that, they would have discussed this with the members of the legislature, the members of the parliament. They would have done that to those people. They would have come here and then they would have a debate about it. There's no debate about it. All of a sudden, some guy comes over here and say that he has assessed now the equipment they are going to need and so forth, and then he's coming back in December to have it done quickly. They understand what might happen here and there. They are putting in reinforcement. Mm-hmm. That's the problem, and we do not know where the people are going to come from to make up the ranks of these regiment. We do not know if there are our people now when they train for all these things that they say they are going to do. I have no. I have no opposition to that, because I think that every boy in Cayman and every girl in Cayman should provide some national service for 18 months. Everyone between 16 and 21 should provide some national service, and there should be and it shouldn't be a regiment that where they go home when you call them out when some disaster. There should be a camp where they can work and they can go and they can live there, and they can learn things there. That's what I for, because that's what the cadet was made for when that started, for that sort of stuff, and a place where you could have alternative sentencing in the courts, where you could send people who got into trouble for the first time. You could send them to the regiment, or you could send them to the cadet service, things like that.
Well, we've seen where the commandant of the cadet corps has welcomed the idea, and I'm wondering whether or not she sees that as a stepping stone for those members of the cadet corps to move on to the regiment. It is unfortunate that such a positive venture, if it's approached the right way, is already being
trampled over,
right? And they're skeptics simply because of the way that it was initially introduced. So people, have this conspiracy theorists now are looking and saying, well, why was it done? Was it done for this, that, or the other? It is.
See, and that's what I was going to say. In principle, this is definitely a good idea.
Me too. I believe, yes.
And as we spoke about, it is definitely. It will actually even address some of the unemployment issues that we have with our youths. It will even give them an opportunity to be educated in a way in which they may have no other opportunities. So it can be a positive thing, but it's the instinctive distrust that we as Caymanians have when these things are presented to us because of the history that has been built up over the years, that you can't trust folks.
And not only that too, it's what happened when they have the border control system. We wanted it to be off the old Caymanian style, And you have a lot of Caymanian seamen and things that I have not seen them conscripted into a ship or in a boat or in a Coast Guard system like that. I'm still waiting for that to happen.
Yeah, the Coast Guard, that's still being developed.
I'm still waiting for that to happen. That should have happened already.
Or invite volunteers.
Or invite volunteers to get it done.
Yeah. Okay, we have a caller. Ms. Susan, do we want to take the break first and take the caller after, or should we take the caller? Phone lines. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Miss T.
Morning, hon.
Good morning, Dr. Steve.
Good morning, ma'am.
I'm going to get in a little bit about the cadets. I gave O.C. a rundown and correction and information on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
But when Dr. Steve said about camping, when my granddaughter, who is now doing the training, and she's 21 now, I can't repeat the whole thing that I told you on Monday.
Okay.
But when they do, she is working in tourism, okay? And whenever they can have any the camps again, she is the head one there, okay?
Okay.
And the last, it normally be Burtontown Civic Center, and the last one were at the East End, one of the East End Civic Centers. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's a good thing. And you know what? She loved it even more and more since she got, as I told you, she became sergeant. She started from the very beginning. And when she reached 18, but I'm still repeating now what I said. When she reached 18, they told her or asked her if she would consider helping to do training. She said, "Oh no." She said, "I need to learn some more." So when she came just 19 plus, then she started to do the training, and she is now 21.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's 21 plus now. Okay, so this is a good thing. I wish they could get all of me in that too, because look here, I'm good, you know.
Yes.
All right, so I'll leave it at that because I told Susan I'm getting ready to go to town to spend some money.
Wow.
Enjoy.
Thank you very much, caller. Time for us to take a commercial break. Folks, please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll return shortly. When we return, we're going to switch gears and we're going to talk about the referendum bill.
It was a day that changed my life. No words can describe the feelings of seeing my baby boy sick for the first time. The overwhelming feeling of fear to be responsible for his health and happiness became my priority. So I did what any nurturing mother would do when their baby is sick. I took him to get some of the best medicine possible.
CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy understands the importance of careful decisions you make every day for your family. Our staff work towards healthcare excellence and providing the most current and up-to-date training with pharmaceutical care, so you can feel confident in knowing that your family is safe with the right medication. At CTMH Doctors Hospital Pharmacy, we take care of your health.
In 1996, Rotary Club Central led the way initiating a disaster fund to prepare and assist our community toward recovery. The Rotary Clubs of the Cayman Islands then expanded this valuable instrument, the Rotary Cayman Disaster Fund. Thereafter, Rotary District 7020, a group of 86 clubs over 10 countries in 16 islands across the Northwest Caribbean, grew this idea, the Rotary District 7020 Disaster Fund. Today, this Rotary Central idea has worked relief and recovery, assisting communities throughout this region. Rotary, with you before, during, and after. Rotary, connecting the world.
Do you own a Cayman parrot?
They are a protected species, but people have been allowed to keep them as pets for years.
It's opened the door to nest robbing and illegal trade of our national bird.
We need to stop it, but we should also give current Cayman parrot owners a chance to keep their bird legally.
If you own a Cayman parrot, you have until February 29th next year to register it with the Department of Environment.
Find out more about parrot registration by calling 949-8469 or emailing doe@gov.ky. Let's protect our Cayman parrots.
The 2019 Fall Labor Force Survey and Pilot Census are currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The Labor Force Survey collects data on the employed and unemployed persons, while the Pilot for Census 2020 will test the questionnaire prior to its finalization. Trained interviewers with ESO ID cards will visit randomly selected households in all districts. The interviews are confidential in accordance with the statistics law. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from freedom of information. For more details, please call the ESO on 516-3329.
For the record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system.
For information that matters. For the record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
And welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me, Ms. Theresa Pitcairn, Dr. Steve Macfield. We're going to take a look at the referendum. People initiated a referendum regarding the Port Bill 2019. And we want to start by looking at the objects and reasons. Now, we know that a referendum bill has to be developed and passed for every referendum that is held, simply because we do not have an overarching referendum law that covers referenda in every respect. So we had one for the single member constituencies in 2012. We had one for the Constitution, the acceptance, introduction of the 2009 Constitution, and we now have one in relation to the port cruise berthing facility as well. And we notice here that the bill itself refers regarding the port. And it doesn't mention cruise berthing facility. It just basically says port.
Yes.
As well. That is one of the arguments that is being put forward. Now, again, we're not sure whether or not a cookie cutter approach was taken to this bill, but we know that there are many similarities in terms of procedural matters that are quite similar to what was in the 2012 bill and the 2009 bill as well. So if we can browse through the objects and reasons, we can't read all of them out, but to paraphrase, some of them, starting with the first one, if you may, Dr. Macfield, for me, please.
Okay. Let me get that now.
Yes. Need to get you on mic as well.
So the bill provides for the holding of a referendum under Section 70 of the Constitution of the Cayman Islands on the proposal to continue to move forward with the building of the cruise berthing and enhancement of the cargo facilities. And it says Clause 1 provides the short title of the legislation. Mm-hmm. And Clause 2 provides for the interpretation of certain expressions used in the legislation, including definitions of observer and voter. This clause also provides that for the purpose of this legislation, the expression deputy supervisor, election, elector, electoral districts, returning officer, and supervisor have the same meanings, respectively, as what that in the elections law. So it says that for this bill, the same meaning of all of those words in the election law is the same meaning in this bill. Mm-hmm. Clause 3 empowers the Cabinet by notice published in the Gazette in at least one newspaper circulated in the islands and on the government website to appoint a date for the holding of the referendum no earlier than the 13th day after the date on which the notice of the referendum is published. And Clause 4 says Clause 4 specifies the matter of national importance and does not contravene any part of the Bill of Rights or any part of the Constitution and sets out the referendum question. This clause also confirms that the outcome of the referendum shall be binding on the government and the legislature if more than 50% of the eligible voters vote in favor of the question and specified in the referendum. Now let's stop there for a minute.
Okay.
Now, that is Clause 4. Now, there could be debate on who's the government. Who is the government of the Cayman Islands, Mr. O.C.? Who's the government of the Cayman Islands?
Well, the government, the executive branch of the government is the cabinet, but the legislature of the Cayman Islands also forms a part of the government.
So why doesn't it say that then? Why does it say this clause also confirms the outcome of the referendum and shall be binding on the government and the legislature if more than 50% of the eligible voters. The reason why I say that is because in the Constitution it says that the Attorney General is the advisor to the government, and the government in that respect means to the governor and his place, and not to the ordinary
the governor and cabinet.
Cabinet.
Yeah, governor and cabinet.
See? So why doesn't it say that the referendum shall be binding on the cabinet and the legislature?
Okay. That one I can't answer. Why do you think it doesn't say that?
Because it could be argued that the government is actually the United Kingdom government, because we are a subordinate legislature and we do not have our own government. And when you look at the Constitution, it says the government is the executive authority rests with Her Majesty the Queen.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So that's the reason why I say, why is it written that way?
Okay.
And then Clause 5 specifies that the persons entitled to vote in the referendum are those persons who, on the day of the holding of the referendum, will be constitutionally entitled and lawfully qualified to vote as electors at an election in an elected district.
That's a good one for us to start to talk about, because there are those persons who are advocating for the whatever number of persons who have registered, but their names, the register of electors that will be used in the referendum, their names will not be on that, because the new register will only take effect on the 1st of January, because we have what you call a quarterly register of electors in the Cayman Islands.
Well,
and there's an argument now being put forward that those persons who are left out of that period, there should be a carve-out for them to be allowed to be added to be allowed to vote in this referendum. What say you about that?
Well, let's read what it says again. Clause 5 specifies that the persons entitled to vote in the referendum are those persons who, on the day of the holding of the referendum, would be constitutionally entitled and lawfully qualified to vote as electors at an election in an electoral district. So does lawfully qualified to be as elector means that you would have to be on the register to be lawfully qualified? And those persons are not on the register yet?
No, they're on the preliminary register that will be published as the official register on the 1st of January.
But you said to be published as the official register on the January, but now it would seem to me then that they are constitutionally entitled to vote.
I've had that conversation with others as well.
I would argue otherwise.
If they are eligible,
they're on a preliminary register that comes into effect on the 1st of January.
But it doesn't say that here in the object and reasons.
In terms of what?
It says that the persons entitled to vote in the referendum are those persons who, on the day of the holding of the referendum, that means and
there's legislation in the elections law that says when you're entitled to vote, which list that you're on that you're entitled to vote, and you have to be on the official register. There are two registers going to be in place: an official register of electors that has been certified by the revising officer, who's a senior magistrate. That list is in force now. And there's a preliminary list that will be certified eventually by the revising officer that will come into effect on the 1st of January. So there is a list that is in effect now.
So the list that's in effect now
those people are not on that.
Constitutionally entitled now to vote.
Correct.
The one that hasn't come into effect yet are the ones that are not constitutionally entitled to vote.
Correct.
So then the only people who are entitled to vote in the referendum are those who are on the registered list now.
Right.
That's now.
Now, we have to take a commercial break and we have a caller, but I'm going to put this question to you so that you can think about it in the meantime.
Yes.
Should we now make an exception and create a carve-out for those persons to be able to vote now? Now, I know that there are people who have argued that we have extended registration dates and we have done things in that regard before. Do we believe that that should take place now? We have one caller on hold. Caller, just hang in there. We're going to take a commercial. 3 callers, I'm told now. We're going to take a commercial break. When we return, we will accommodate your calls, so please stay tuned.
Sometimes things just don't go as planned. That's why you need Contractors All Risk Insurance from Fidelity Insurance Brokers. Ensure you're covered in the event of property damage and third-party injury or damage claims during your construction projects. And with Fidelity Insurance Brokers, you can be sure you are getting competitive pricing and superior customer service. Call us today for a free quote. Fidelity, we're good for you. I'm starting my shopping early this year. What you want for Christmas?
All I really want for Christmas is for my packages to arrive on time.
Plan ahead to get your shipments into Seaboard Marine on time and avoid the holiday rush. Check out their great less-than-container shipment rates. Seaboard saves you time, money, and convenience with consolidation and repacking options available. Take a load off Santa this holiday season. Shop, ship, and save on your small packages with Seaboard Marine. Give us a call at 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com/grand-cayman for quotes or additional details.
Shipping shore to shore, Seaboard.
As a Caymanian, it's very important to me that projects like this are thought of thoroughly before continuing.
My question is, do we need it? And I've not yet been fully convinced that we need it, nor have I been fully convinced that we don't need it. So
what guarantee do we have that these ships are going to continue to come?
Please make the right decision.
Please don't let the catchy songs overturn you. Please support the referendum. Please ensure that you are supporting sustainable tourism, not just money-making tourism.
If the project plans have changed, even though it might be insignificant on paper, it's going to be significant for the environment.
They need to release official information, official facts.
That's where I am right now. I want to know, I want more information on do we need it.
It's your vote, your future.
So make a decision based on fact.
You deserve the whole truth.
Attention Cayman Brac. Radio Cayman team will be visiting the Brac today, registering participants for this November's Brac Breeze Fusion 5K walk run. We'll be at the marketplace until 10 this morning and Cayman National Bank from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. This year's event will benefit the Leo's Club of Cayman Brac. Walk with pride, run with passion, and join your number one station, Radio Cayman.
Always ensure that food preparation utensils are washed with a strong detergent and rinsed in hot water in the event that they have made contact with flood water. Boil silverware for 10 minutes and immerse glass, porcelain, china, and plastic items in a solution of hot water and 10% chlorine bleach before use. For more post-hurricane food safety tips, visit DEH website at deh.gov.ky.
For the record, with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matter. For the record, with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're going to the phone lines right now. 3 callers on hold, so we're going to just ask each caller to be cognizant of the fact that there is someone or there are persons waiting behind them to speak as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, sir.
Yeah, this is Dr. Barnett, Curtis Barnett.
Good morning.
How are you doing, Doc?
Good morning.
Very well, thanks. You know, I have a strong unease about the question of the establishment of a regiment in Cayman.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that I visited Auschwitz in Poland a little more than 2 months ago did nothing to, shall I say, allay my unease about this question of a regiment, which to me represents a promotion of militarism, the expansion of militarism in the world, and quite particularly, of course, Cayman, which has never had, I would say, a permanent regiment and or militarism in that sense. Although, of course, a number of Caymanians have supported military efforts. We all know that.
including in that Second World War, right? So it harkens back also to our colonial past. Think, for example, around the 1800s, that is the 18th century coming into the 19th century, and the support and buttressing of slavery, and the question of what the landlords and slave owners wanted, and so on. You who've read history know about that, the role that regiments played in that matter. And so the fact that Britain suggests and is promoting and plans to establish a regiment here also represents to me an external imposition, as Dr. McFeel was mentioning over an hour ago. And it's not coming from Caymanians. I don't know that the need is that great for such a thing. When it comes to disasters, I think Caymanians have done pretty well to meet the challenges in the past. You see? And we've done well in coming back and realizing a restoration of our society. And
but what about, Carla, what about our ability to provide assistance to other jurisdictions as well who find themselves in a similar position in relation to disasters? I mean, we have provided financial support in the past. We've provided logistical support in terms of our police and everything. Yeah. We did benefit from the Bermuda Regiment during after Hurricane Ivan here in the Cayman Islands as well. What are your thoughts on that?
And a few Canadians who came down as well.
Yeah.
Other things. But no, haven't we been able to do that without having a regiment? And, you know, a regiment. That's what people say. A regiment. It's interesting to go back to the roots of that word, regiment. It refers to the buttressing of a ruler or of a government, right? But it really comes from regi. You know, which that's where the Spaniards get their word rey, and the French roi, referring to their king, their monarch.
Rey, yeah.
And that's what it's all about. It's saying, what does Britain, what do they want to accomplish with that here? Okay. And a regiment, after all, is an army.
Yeah.
Is a permanent unit of an army. You know. So as I say, I'm not sure that we really need that. So that's my contribution to you today.
Thank you very much. Very useful one, Dr. Barnett. Thank you very much for that. Let's take the next caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to your panel. Good morning, OC.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Kenneth Bryan here. I'm enjoying the conversation very much.
Thank you.
With you both attorneys examining the referendum bill. But speaking about those 200 persons who will not get on the list, obviously there'll be subjective arguments about why they should be on and why they shouldn't be on in accordance to law. But the one part I can't get over is how those 45 dead people get up and vote yes for the doc. Now explain that. Now you can argue, the government is going to argue about according to law and the like, but how can we justify that there's 45 people who have passed, no longer on this earth, with their maker in heaven, hopefully, but they're going to be able to have a say in this port.
I'll explain that to you because I don't agree that they will have a say.
Well, according to the press release recently, they will. So I'd be happy to hear your
Is that because their names will still be on the register of electors?
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. We can. I can address that issue for you.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Let's grab the last caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
Go right ahead, caller.
Morning. Yes, good morning to your distinguished panel. Are you hearing me?
Yes, we are. Go right ahead, caller.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, thank you. This is Richard Bernard. I don't call in as often as I would like to, but I do a lot of more listening. I have 3 questions this morning, and then I'll just read something very, very minuscule as I put pen to paper. First question is, why is Virgin Isles Group allowed to conduct a job fair prior to the outcome of the referendum? That's the first question. Second question is, having a regiment in Cayman is an ill-conceived idea. What are the ulterior motives? And the third question is, before you sit an exam, you have to be cognizant of two facts. First, the date of the exam. Second, the venue of the exam. Questions. When are we going to set a date for independence? And this is something I wrote, which will just take like a minute. It's entitled Caymanian. And it asks, who are we? What are we? What is the meaning of that word? We are a proud, hardworking, and industrious people who have built our country for generations to come. Foreigners come here from their countries because they didn't like there. Now they come here and want to change here like there. We are not racist, homophobic, xenophobic, or arachnophobic, or any other phobic, or anti-whatever you are. We simply like here the way it is, and most of us intend to keep it that way. Wherever you foreigners came from, you are welcome here. But please stop trying to make here like where you came from. And should you not want to stay here, you are cordially invited to leave here and go back to where you came from at your earliest convenience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. I believe we thought that was the last caller, but one more call came through, so we are going to take that caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning to you and your panelists.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am.
On just a brief comment, actually, about some of the information that I've seen published about the doc, not least of which is one, the most recent one by the Cayman News Service. But the article goes on to depict the seabed in Georgetown as seemingly an untouched, pristine location. There is beauty there. You just look over the harbor and you can see there's beauty. But nobody mentions the fact that the majority of the seabed where ships have been anchoring for decades has been severely compromised because of the continuous anchoring in the area. The other thing that I'd like to make mention of, no matter where we put that dock, there are going to be areas where there are dive sites. Georgetown is not the only dive site on the island. But again, I say that sometimes we have to sacrifice a little for the greater good. And that's how I see the situation about the marine environment in Georgetown. Secondly, I'd like to say that while there's been a lot of speculation and, individuals who are speaking about what will happen if the cruise ships are parked, or rather docked by the piers. But nobody is mentioning the danger which is posed by the emission from the hundreds, maybe thousands of gallons of diesel or gasoline that is used, and for those tenders to go back and forth to those ships every single day. And divers are encouraged, divers and snorkelers and perhaps swimmers are being encouraged to use those areas. Nobody seems to be mentioning the fact that what is being used by those tenders.
Mm-hmm. But call it tendering will still take place. We're not totally eliminating tendering.
No, it won't. But right. It wouldn't be as much as it is now.
Right.
And then the other thing is, nobody seems to be concerned when it comes to the environment. Nobody is mentioning that with all of the development that is taking place along the shorelines, where a lot of our mangrove and the protective areas, where multi-million-dollar homes are being built along these areas. And this continues to happen. It's continuing even until today, where you will see these places that are all of the growth is taken down and it's filled with marl or whatever it is. Nobody seems to be looking at that part of the environment. Everything is focused on Georgetown Harbor, which has already been compromised. So if you're going to put a dock, if you're going to put the piers, then I would say don't go to some place which is untouched.
Okay. We have to take a holistic approach to everything when it comes to our environment. Caller, thank you very much for that. We have to take our last commercial break. Phone lines are closed off now because we have WhatsApp messages and questions that were posed by previous callers that we want to address as well. So please stay tuned for the record. We'll be back shortly.
Congratulations, I hear the family is expanding.
Yes, our family is growing bigger, but I don't know how we're going to get around. Our old car just doesn't have enough room.
You should head over to VAT Motors and ask about the Toyota Rush. It's a 7-seater SUV with lots of room and safety features, and it's on sale for just $21,900.
Rush in to VAT Motors for the best deal of the year on the Toyota Rush SUV. Save up to $2,600 with VAT cashback and the Toyota factory rebate going on right now. Fuel efficient, stylish, roomy, and loaded with safety features. The Rush is the perfect SUV for you and your family, starting from just $21,900. Visit VAT Motors and drive your deal home today while stock lasts. Saturday, November 2nd, Breeze Fusion 2019.
Are you ready? Yeah.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Bigger and better.
Now featuring a 5K walk run
and a 10K run for half marathon trainers.
Join the fun and help raise funds for the Central Scranton Park and the NCBO.
Yes, Cayman Islands, it's back. Your chance to be healthy. Your chance to give back.
Save the date or register now at CaymanActive.com or at Radio Cayman Studio.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Saturday, November 2nd.
I like to move it. You like to move it.
The Breeze Fusion 5K, 10K walk run.
Taking place at Smith Bacadere, starting at 6:15 a.m.
Vehicle owners are reminded that the Department of Vehicle and Driver's Licensing amnesty will expire on November 1st. The amnesty provides a waiver of back fees for unlicensed vehicles. If you plan to keep your vehicle on the road, keep your plates and visit the DVDL. If you are discarding your vehicle, dispose of it at the landfill and drop your plates off at the DVDL. For more information, contact 945-8344 or visit www.dvdl.gov.ky.
The results confirmed that it is super easy for teens to get an e-cigarette, and among the teens who reported that they use e-cigarettes, 12% of them say their friends use it as well. 76.3% of over 3,000 teens said that their parents have had the conversation with them about drugs and alcohol. I bet you're wondering how I know all of this. Well, me and over 3,000 teens did a drug survey at school in 2018, and the results are directly from us, your teens.
Know the facts. Contact the National Drug Council and learn about the Parents as Preventers training. This message was brought to you by the National Drug Council and Radio Cayman.
Verdant Isle Port Partners is hosting a job fair and open house on Tuesday, October 29th between 4 p.m. and 8 p.m. at Margaritaville Beach Resort. Obtain information and register expressions of interest for jobs in building, heavy civil, marine construction and diving, cruise ship positions, tours and shore excursions. Have an idea for a tour business? Appointments are also available for meetings with cruise company executives to discuss tour business opportunities and ideas. For details, visit verdant.ky or email info@verdant.ky.
Brand Source Home Gallery is celebrating 49 years of serving Cayman with a 20% store-wide anniversary sale. Get 20% off everything for 3 days only this Thursday through Saturday, October 24th, 25th, and 26th. Choose from Cayman's largest selection of kitchen and laundry appliances. Browse the huge mattress selection and check out the Design Center and save 20% on the most innovative products for your kitchen, bathroom, or closets. The Brand Source 20% off store-wide anniversary sale ends Saturday, October 26th. So hurry in now to Brand Grand Source Home Gallery on Dorsey Drive in Industrial Park. Call 623-5000 for more information.
For the Record with Orrett Connor.
Initiating system. For information that matters. For the Record with Orrett Connor. Continues right now on Radio Cayman.
Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. We're on the last leg of the show this morning. Our phone lines have been closed off. Just a response to one of our callers in relation to the Verdant Isle group and the job fair. There are some people who believe that may be in bad taste and maybe be poking a finger in the eye of the voter by saying, we're going through with this because we feel confident that the referendum is going to pass. Balancing that out, there are people who are asking what are those jobs, 700 or whatever number of jobs that will be created. A job fair you don't necessarily have to have a job fair to answer that question. So I'm not sure the intent of the job fair. And I'll say, like what I said on a previous show, that I don't know who they have for their PR persons in terms of advising them. But if I had someone advising me in that regard, I would fire them simply because, the optics of it is just not right.
It's similar to a constitution that's coming in for a country. You have a date for a constitution, but then you go and you choose the ministers of the government before the constitution is approved. It's a similar to that. But there's no law against that. And then, like you said, I would never do that if I was in that position, because then I would be scared that the people go out and rebuke me and turn me around and say, to hell with your job fair. This is what we're doing. I wouldn't do that. And
we would do it too.
Yeah, and people should do that. They should, if they feel that that's what they should do, they should go out and rebuke the people for doing this and for taking them for granted. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing wrong with it. There's no law against it. Right. If they feel so confident that they can go around, then that's more power to them.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Now, so on the question now, here's one. Please tell OC, dead persons and those mentally incapacitated with accompanying confirmation from their physician are still on the voters list. How is that fair or even possible? CIG must also look at the spirit and intent of the law, not just the literal interpretation of the statute to suit their agenda. And then MLA Kenneth Bryan called up about the number of dead persons on the list. We have to, first of all, we have to recognize that the voters list has a finite date to it. So someone may expire, they may die before the date of the vote. Now, two things need to be recognized. If they have voted and they die after, let's say if they have voted by post, or if they had voted through mobile voting and they die after, their vote counts.
That's right.
Their vote counts. If the person is deceased before election day and they haven't voted, the election supervisor, the elections office has procedures in place. They identify persons who have voted by postal ballot so that person cannot go to the polls and vote a second time. They identify persons who have voted by way of mobile voting so that on the date of elections they can't go and vote a second time. And those persons who are deceased since the register of electors has come into force, there is an indication on every official voters list that is used by the presiding officers and the poll clerks in every polling station indicating that those persons are deceased. So you don't get dead people voting. You don't get people, if you have been certified to be insane and incapable of voting, the supervisor of elections makes note of that. A day or two before the elections, there's a huge gathering of all of the poll clerks and presiding officers, and each registering officer from each district sit with their groups, and they go over those lists to point out who is deceased, who has received the postal ballot, and indications are made on that. Now, when it comes to the calculation of whether or not you have received 50% plus one of the persons registered to vote. Those persons who are deceased since then, you would have to subtract them. So if you have 20,500 persons registered, but within that period of time you have 100 persons who are deceased, no longer eligible to vote, then the effective register of electors, the number would be then 20,400 rather than 20,500.
Yes.
So that is covered, but I will staunchly defend what the elections office will do. I have done it for 33 years. And I know what it is all about. It is all about ensuring that persons are not disenfranchised. It is all done to ensure that there's transparency where transparency can be used. And I always use this joke. The only thing that isn't transparent is the ballot paper. Is the ballot paper. That's the only thing that's transparent is the ballot paper. And so we know that the elections office is going to do what they need to do. Those people have been doing over the years, and they continue to employ those persons who have done it over and over again. We have about 5 minutes, so that gives both of you an opportunity, for some final comments as well. Anything from you, Ms. T?
No, I was looking for notes that I made that you have me making 2 o'clock in the morning. No, there was something that I read by one of the scholars that I have a tremendous respect for. His name is Noam Chomsky. And, this guy, he was just talking a little bit about the issue with millennials and younger voters and unions, and how that is just being featured, and with the view that in time, for example, the United States is more likely to become more socially oriented as opposed to capitalistic as we see it today. And I was listening to a comment that that was made recently, and I can't remember when, where there were a number of financial supporters for the Democrats in the United States, and they looked at they canvassed the persons that were there in terms of being electable for leadership, and the view that they had was that those that are now there, no one wants to see any one of them as president of the United States. So these are folks, the moneyed folks, who essentially contribute significantly to the success of whoever wins and becomes president. They're now saying that, they don't really have a taste or a desire for anyone that is there. So there is money that goes towards contribution in politics, and, that money elects leadership. But then again, you now have this new tide of younger voters coming in who are actually questioning the system that we have in place, and, questioning soaring inequalities in the jobs, retirement, insecurity, rising cost of living and healthcare, and economic vulnerability. The same things that we have here with our youth. And I think that, we need to take a closer look at how we evaluate that. And a final comment with respect to the referendum, we discussed briefly about the administrative cost of what goes on when you're trying to put something like this together. I would recommend that, those administrative costs and activities be revisited, but also because this is so important, to give those folks that are there the opportunity to vote so that they are not really disenfranchised, and really because this is so important.
Yeah.
So you believe that a carve-out should be made for them?
In this and to allow folks to use their discretion as to when you do that, but that's a personal view, and I don't want it's not a political view. It's just trying to weigh the importance and value of having a referendum like this against having folks being disenfranchised.
Doc?
Well, the bill does modify parts of the elections law. I would just like to say that I would try to find where one of the modifications is Section 58, where it's modified Section 58, and it's substituting another section.
Okay.
it says the count. Omit subsection 1 and 2. That's about the count. And it's substituting that for this. Each returning officer or deputy returning officer, as the case may be, shall, upon receipt by him of each of the ballot boxes, place his seal up thereon in the presence of the observer, and shall then take every precaution for his safekeeping. And after the ballot boxes has been received by the returning officer for the count, he shall break the seals thereon in the presence of observers and of any other person who are lawfully in the counting station at the time, and place all the ballot boxes thereon containing in the appropriate ballot box which shall be provided. In other words, all of the ballot boxes shall be go into one box.
All of the ballot papers, yes.
So that is a carve out from the elections law. They could do the same thing to those people who are not constitutionally now eligible to vote, but will be eligible to vote in January. They should make the same carve out for those kind of people so that they can be eligible to vote in this election as they have done with the ballot boxes.
But would you say that they're equal? That the two are on the same level, on the same plane?
Not really, but they could do it because it's a matter of national importance. And I understand the reason why they're putting it in one ballot box, because it's not a district election.
Right.
It's not a district election. It's a national election.
National election,
and
yeah.
it should be one vote.
And while some people may be curious as to how each constituency or each district may have voted, that is really not the purpose.
That's not the purpose, because it's not for election of individual members to the Legislative Assembly.
Precisely. Ms. Teresa, Dr. Steve McField, I want to thank you very much for being here today. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension For the Record, into your homes, into your vehicles, as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters' keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to a worthy charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want or even those who crave. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. Join Sterling Dwayne Banks at 12:15 for Talk Today. And as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these three beautiful, wonderful Cayman Islands.
For the Record is brought to you by Vamped Motors, the only authorized Ford and Toyota dealership serving the Cayman Islands. Cayman Pharmacy Group, with a location in West Bay and professional pharmacy at CTMH Doctors Hospital. The Cayman Pharmacy Group has a location for you just around the corner. Seaboard Marine, with over 35 shipping ports, find your shipping solution by calling 949-4977 or visit seaboardmarine.com for competitive rates. Rotary Central, for more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. Fidelity Bank, for all your banking needs, visit fidelitygroup.com. Fidelity, we're good for you. And Roper's Janitorial, complete janitorial service for commercial, industrial, and residential. They get the job done right every time.